Good evening. Start with a little scripture verse that I always use before I pray. Now, 1 John chapter 1, chapter 5, verses 14 and 15. We have, got the wrong one, don't I? And here we go. Whoever, I'm sorry. Here we go. Chapter 4 doesn't work for chapter 5, does it? It doesn't. Here we go. This is the confidence that we have in him, that if we ask anything according to his will, he hears us. And if we know that he hears us, whatsoever we ask, we know that we have the petitions that we have desired of him. This is a guarantee that we have in prayer. Join me, please. Father, we are so thankful for this evening that you've given us. Thank you for the privilege and the honor that we have of coming together before your throne. You said in your word to come boldly before your throne, into your throne of grace in a time of need. Father, we ask tonight that you hear our prayer, that you open our hearts to receive, Father, wisdom. You said in your word to come boldly to your throne and to ask for wisdom. And Father, we ask tonight. I'm so thankful, Father, for this group of men and women that have dedicated their lives to serve you and to serving this city. We pray, Father, that every one of them will have wisdom tonight to make right decisions. You said in your word that you would teach us how to choose. And so, Father, in the name of Jesus, we ask you to teach us how to choose. This is a troubling time we're living in, Lord, and we know that you already have our times in your hands. And so, Father, as this meeting proceeds, we thank you for blessing everyone that is here. Thank you for this city and its workers, for all of its personnel. And thank you, Father, for granting wisdom tonight in all that they do. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Thank you very much for those words, Michael. Councilperson Schott, would you like to lead us in a pledge?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
And to the republic
for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. We have a relatively short agenda tonight, but most of it's geared towards all the business. We do have a public hearing. There's a request for an ordinance rezoning 1800 East Highway 72 from C1 to C2 General Retail District. Tom?
Looks like I'm not going to be able to figure out how to do it the correct way, so I'm just going to go ahead and start, and we'll hope that the people who are on the computer will know what I'm saying. And anyway, this is a request to rezone property 1800 East Highway 72, from C1, which is the neighborhood commercial district, to C2, which is the general retail district. Property is highlighted. Those who can see it, or highlighted on the map in the red, the air photo. It's east of town, basically on Highway 72. The property is, as I said, currently zoned C1, neighborhood commercial. The property is located directly across the street from properties that are zoned C2, which is what was requested, C2 general retail. Across the street is a mini storage unit. There is a nursing home and a church. On the same side of the street as this property, there's it's just houses currently, although it's zoned commercial. This is the only actual commercial property on the same side of the street. The land use plan from the comprehensive plan indicates that the property should be appropriate for community commercial uses. The requested C2 district falls within community commercial type uses. The southern portion of the property indicates is appropriate for parks and open space. That's because the part of the property is in a floodplain. and that floodplain really divides this property from the other areas to the south of the property. There's a large open space between the two. Street view, the property, it's been developed for commercial uses for a few years. Notice it's a kind of a building, it was built for cleaning cars for a car dealership originally. It was not open to the public originally. It was just to service a car dealership that was in town. It was then sold and it became a tractor sales and repair business. That's what you see on the Google Street Views where I stole this from. The request is the property has been bought by a different group, and the business is wanting to move in. It's called Line X. They sell and install automobile accessories. Most famously, Line X is known for their truck bed liners. So just to summarize, the proposed rezoning is consistent with the comprehensive plan and the surrounding uses. It is very separated from the residential zoned properties to the south because of the floodplain. The rezoning is needed to allow for the Line X business. I'll go ahead and just jump in to prevent any need for questions. The Line X business and tractor supply place and the car detail place, yes, those are all very similar, but the neighborhood zoning doesn't allow for this type of use. The zoning code specifically calls out automobile accessories and installation and whatnot as a use that's first allowed in the C2 district. In the past, the other uses that were allowed there, they aren't specifically called out in the zoning code, and so I think there was some hesitance to require it to be rezoned at that time. But however, since the property is changing hands and becoming a new business, and the code specifically calls out this type of business, we informed them they needed to rezone the property in order to open this business. The Planning and Zoning Commission heard the case last week at their meeting. They did recommend approval of the rezoning by a vote of 5-0. Do you have any questions for me before we move into the public hearing?
Thank you, Tom. We'll officially open the public hearing. Is there anyone that owns property within 185 feet of this proposed zoning that would like to speak for the proposed zoning? Is there anyone that owns property within 180 feet of this proposed zoning that would like to speak against the proposed zoning? Is there anyone that owns property outside of 185 feet that would like to speak for the proposed zoning? And finally, is there anyone that owns property outside of 185 feet that would like to speak against the proposed rezoning? If not, this closes the public hearing. Councilpersons, are there any questions for Tom? If not, can we have the first reading?
An ordinance to approve the rezoning of 1800 East Highway 72 from the C1 Neighborhood Commercial District to the C2 General Retail District, Zone 20-02.
Thank you. There's an official request in writing for council to waive the rules and have the final reading. What is council's pleasure on that?
I'll make a motion to waive the rules.
There's a motion from Carolyn on waiving the rules. Is there a second?
Second.
And as a second, roll call vote, please.
Roeder? Roeder?
Christine? Oh, no, who?
That's
Oh,
Roeder.
sorry.
He says,
Yes.
okay. Crowell?
No.
No. Murphy?
Yes.
Schott?
No.
Scheider?
Yes.
Reuter?
No.
Allen?
Yes.
Jordan?
Yes.
Eberly?
Yes.
Bolin?
Yes.
Muse?
Yes.
8 ayes and 3 nays.
The waiver is approved. May we have the final reading?
An ordinance to approve the rezoning of 1800 East Highway 72 from the C1 Neighborhood Commercial District to the C2 General Retail District, Zone 20-02.
Is there a motion to approve?
Make a motion.
Carolyn's made a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Monty, second. Roll call vote, please.
Jordan,
Yes.
Bolin,
Yes.
Reuter,
Yes.
Schneider,
Yes.
Allen,
Yes.
Murphy,
Yes.
Crow,
Yes.
Muse,
Yes.
Roder,
Yes.
Eberly,
Yes.
Scott, Schott,
Yes.
11 ayes.
Ordinance is approved. Thank you. You the applicants? Welcome to Rolla. Wish you the best with it. Moving on to special presentations, we have three. The first is the 2019 Tourism Audit Report. Ms. Wiggins.
Good evening. My name's Amanda Wiggins. I'm a certified public accountant here to present a part of the Chamber's audited financial statements. You have in the agenda a copy of our audit report for the 2019 fiscal year. Much of this audit is the combined financials for the Chamber Fund and the Tourism Motel Tax Fund. I will be here only to present the side of the Tourism Motel Tax Fund, which of course is funded by motel tax revenue collected by the City of Rolla, and a portion of which is remitted to the Chamber for tourism promotion. My job as an auditor is to conduct the audit in accordance with auditing standards generally accepted in the United States of America, and that was done so. And for the fiscal year ended 2019, in a nutshell, there were no major issues, no red flags, no unexplainable variances or missing information, so the audit went quite smoothly. One adjustment was made for the fiscal year, and that was to accrue sick leave payable for the employees, which I'll kind of detail that a little bit more here in a minute. But it went quite well. During our audit, we don't only just look at the financial figures, we also look at internal controls of the organization, and I just wanted to say that the internal controls are still in place at the Chamber, and they are still being followed by both the Chamber employees and the board members, who are an integral part of keeping those going. So the two financial reports for the Tourism Motel Tax Fund begin on page 18 of my audit. So I'm going to flip to there. Page 18 shows the statement of assets, liability, and net assets for year-end 2019. You'll see the total assets for the year-end were $249,000, which include cash of about $125,000, accounts receivable of about $41,000, and then, of course, fixed assets. There weren't any additions to the fixed assets in 2019, so it was the prior year assets of leasehold improvements, furniture, and equipment, and then normal depreciation that's taken over its lifetime. So again, $249,000 was the approximate balance of assets at year end. No major variances in those accounts from the prior year. Liabilities for the year were about $59,000, including regular payables, an amount due to the Chamber for reimbursement of payroll expenses, and there was a loan on the books at year end for $30,693. That's with a local bank. That was originated a couple of years ago to make improvements on the visitor center, and they are paying over their minimum payments each month, and they'll be paying that down by about $9,900 this year. And then net assets without restrictions at year end were about $190,000, which is a great thing because that means assets outweigh the liabilities for the organization, or I should say for the fund, by about $190,000. The next page, on page 19, summarizes the revenue and expenses. This is a statement of revenues, expenses, and changes in net assets. So this shows you a snapshot for the entire fiscal year. Revenue was about $339,000 for the year, most of which was from motel tax income. Motel tax revenue was down a little bit for the year. So on this page, that was the biggest variance, but it wasn't down so much that it was alarming or anything. Of the expenses, they're broken down between program expenses and administrative expenses. Total of these were about $343,000 for the year. The largest expenses each year include payroll and keeping up the visitor center, building grounds, land payments and whatnot. And also they make grants out to local organizations that hold events that promote tourism and bring people into the city. So overall for the year, there was a net loss for the motel tax fund, the tourism fund, of $4,530. So a small loss, but that was unusual for the organization. Usually they don't show a loss. So that's kind of just a snapshot of their fiscal year. Our firm also prepared and filed the annual 990 tax return with the IRS, which is just an information return that's required, so that requirement has been met as well. Again, all went well, and no issues. So if there's any questions, though, or anybody wants further details, I'd be happy to give those.
Council, are there any questions regarding the accounting and the auditing for Amanda? And if you have questions on the actual operations, Stevie's here that could answer those questions. If not, thank you. It's always great to get a clean audit.
Thank you.
Second item is the 2020 second quarter Rolla Municipal Utilities Report. Rodney,
I think I'm on. Am I on?
you're on. We can hear you.
Okay. All right. Took a little bit to get in. All right. I'm going to just briefly cover things that's on my report or in the report. Like always, it's on our website. Not just because, and for time, just kind of highlight a couple of things. I didn't do a formal presentation. On our income, we are down about $500,000 from this time last year. That's not really unusual. The weather has really played a lot of part of that. Just it being a lot milder winter, so that's doing some of it, and our permanent rate reductions are part of the other part of it. So, not unexpected to be where we're at this time of the year. Quickly moving on, just some of the MOPEP updates. We spoke about this at a meeting, board meeting several months ago, but currently we're getting about 75% of our power from coal, 15% natural gas, and about 10% are coming from renewables, primarily wind. As I've mentioned to council in the past, our Dynegy contract, which is a coal contract out of Illinois, expiring 2021. We've been looking for other options. Rainbelt's part of that. We've already committed for some additional wind resources out of Kansas to replace that expiring coal contract. When that is complete, what that's going to reduce is our coal footprint will probably go from 75 to about 55%. I don't have the exact numbers, but that'll come down about 20%. And then our increase in natural gas and renewables will go to about 25 and 20% respectively. So that's a big fuel switch going on. Again, a couple years off, but that is going to not only make us a little bit cleaner, but more importantly, that's going to reduce our wholesale costs considerably, really, as part of that fuel switch. So that's something we're looking forward to in the next few years. We're already starting to see some of the impacts of that, but again, as that Dynegy contract goes off next year, we'll be looking in a lot better shape. One of the other things that we did actually at the May 7th board meeting, I'll technically report on this in a few months, to the council, but we have voted to change our wholesale rate structure. Again, I won't get into a lot of detail, but it's making us more cost causation based from the whole. So again, we're a lot more focused on our demand charges, lower energy charges, but overall, I think the key takeaway of that is long term we're going to be saving money. I'll do a quick update on the Grainbelt Express project. As I reported in my report, the Eastern District reaffirmed the Public Service Commission's decision, so all court activity is done. Legislative session ended Friday. Last Friday, there were a couple of attempts to derail the Grainbelt project that kind of came in the last 2 weeks, but I'm happy to report that we didn't have any adverse action taken. So all the court cases are settled. There's no pending regulations from the state level at this point in time. So we have a green light to proceed on that, or the developer to proceed on that project at the moment. So we should be seeing hopefully some more activity. Hopefully after the COVID crisis gets down, they're setting up land offices in Moberly in the St. Joseph area to start working with the landowners along that project line. Before I move on, that's kind of the parts I'm going to cover in the main reports. Any questions on that from anybody?
Doesn't look like, Rodney.
Okay, if not, let's move on to the 2020 comparative rate information. Again, I kind of do have usually a fairly long prelude to this, but what we do every year as a requirement of city ordinance is go out to the utilities in about a 6-mile radius from Rolla. We give them some basic water consumption information and electric consumption information, ask them to provide what their charge would be for that same quantity of water or electricity, and then we do a comparison. So first one we have in the report is our water. We use 5,000 gallons. That may be getting a little high. I may trim that back next year down to 4,000, kind of look at our consumption. 5 is becoming a high average now for the typical residential customer. But since we use that, kind of gives you an idea. There, you can see that in the 2020 column, there's a lot of red. A lot of the pricing is in red. That means they've been doing rate changes. Most of them up, I'm surprised. There's a few that actually looks like they reduced rates. But generally speaking, we're about in the middle of the pack there. There's about 7 of these utilities lower than us, about 5 that are higher than us, including the water district. But we're kind of somewhere in the middle of the pack there. I would remind the council and anyone listening that we do have another water rate increase planned for October. So I'll raise this up a little bit more, but I think it still puts us well in the middle of the pack. And that's mainly we're covering our maintenance and operation costs. What we're falling short on our water department is keeping up with the cost of capital, or capital expansion programs. With that, I'll move on to electric and just touch on that briefly as well. I think we have very good news there. Again, same type of thing. We look at 600 kilowatt hours, 1,100 kilowatt hours, and 2,000 kilowatt hours, kind of a low user, middle of the road or average user, and then more of a high-end user, winter heat kind of situation. And again, most of the rates, you can see most of them are black, which means there hasn't been a lot of rate changes. I think we actually did have a rate change, but it's to the good. We raised our service availability charges, but lowered the energy rates. And overall, for a majority of customers, they see a savings here. So again, when you look at kind of where we sit in the pack here, we're at the bottom. At the 600 kilowatt hours, there's 5 of the 14 that are lower than us. But when you get up to the 1,100 and 2,000 kilowatt hour range, there's only 2 or 3 lower than us when you get up there. And I think, as I mentioned earlier with the Grainbelt Express, converting to wind, we've got a great opportunity to hold the rates the same, possibly even do some more saving measures for our customers in the future. So I think we got a very good picture on the electric side, on the residential side. And we may look more in the future also, how can we be more competitive on our big customers, our industrial customers? How do we attract and retain that industrial base? So with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions that the council or mayor you might have.
Thank you, Rodney. Any questions from council? No questions. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you.
Moving on, there's one more item under special presentations. It's not on your agenda. The week of May 17th through the 23rd is National Public Works Week, with a theme this year of It Starts Here. Public Works, along with public safety, are the two cornerstones of any city government. Public works involves infrastructure, facilities, and services that each and every citizen is impacted with. They build and maintain roads, plowing snow, collect the solid waste, provide water, provide electric, build and operate water treatment facilities, and on and on. Providing these services takes planning, expertise, dollars, and employee commitment. So what I'd like to do is issue a proclamation recognizing all of the efforts that our public works departments and employees provide. Whereas public works services provided in our community are an integral part of our citizens' everyday lives. And whereas the support of an understanding and informed citizenry is vital to the efficient operation of public works systems and programs, such as water, sewer, streets, public buildings, solid waste collections. The health, safety, and comfort of this community greatly depends on these facilities and services. The quality and effectiveness of these facilities, as well as their planning, design, and construction, is vitally independent upon the efforts and skill of the public works officials. The efficiency of the qualified and dedicated personnel who staff public works departments is materially influenced by the people's attitudes and understanding of the importance of the work that they perform. In the City of Rolla, I call upon all citizens and civic organizations to acquaint themselves with the issues involved in providing our public works and to recognize the contributions which public works officials make each and every day to our health, safety, comfort, and quality of life. Now therefore I proclaim May 17th through May 23rd, National Public Works Week, with the theme, It Starts Here. So thank you to everyone that works in those departments. Moving on to old business, there are three related items. These are the final readings. The ordinances to authorize me to enter into technical service agreements with the Phelps County Emergency Services Board, the Rolla Public Library, and the Rolla Rural Fire Protection. Just as a recollection, these are to provide basically accounting and administrative services for those three entities. So rather than have John come up three times, are there any questions relative to all three of those that you have? If there are none, can we have the final reading on the first, which is an ordinance authorizing me to enter into the agreement with Phelps County Emergency Services Board?
An ordinance authorizing the mayor, City of Rolla, Missouri, to execute on behalf of the City of Rolla, Missouri, a technical assistance contract between the City of Rolla, Missouri, and the Phelps County Emergency Services Board.
Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Ann made a motion, Matthew second. Roll call vote.
Allen,
Yes.
Murphy. Murphy,
Mute. Ann?
Murphy.
Oh,
Is that a yes or no?
yes.
Boland,
Yes.
Schneider,
Yes.
Reuter,
Yes.
Mush,
Yes.
Roder. Roder.
Yes. Yes.
Eberly,
Yes.
Crow,
Yes.
Schott,
Yes.
Jordan,
Yes.
11 ayes.
Ordinance is approved. The next one is an ordinance authorizing me to enter into a technical services agreement with the Rolla Public Library. And we have the final reading, please.
Yes. An ordinance authorizing the mayor, City of Rolla, Missouri, to execute on behalf of the City of Rolla, Missouri, a technical assistance contract between the City of Rolla, Missouri, and the Rolla Public Library.
Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Did you get the,
Is it Crow and Mush?
yes.
Okay.
Roll call vote, please.
Crow,
Yes.
Schott,
Yes.
Reuter,
Yes.
Schneider,
Yes.
Jordan,
Yes.
Murphy,
Yes.
Bolin,
Yes.
Mush,
Yes.
Roder,
Yes.
Eberly,
Yes.
Allen,
Yes.
11 ayes.
Ordinance is approved. Third one is an ordinance authorizing me to enter into a technical services agreement with the Rolla Rural Protection District. Final reading, please.
An ordinance authorizing the mayor, City of Rolla, Missouri to execute on behalf of the City of Rolla, Missouri, a technical assistance contract between the City of Rolla, Missouri and the Rolla Rural Fire Protection District.
Is there a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Monty? Is there a second?
Second.
Jody? Roll call vote.
Eberly,
Yes.
Allen,
Yes.
Murphy, Murphy,
Wait. Yes.
Bolin,
Yes.
Schneider,
Yes.
Ruder,
Yes.
Mush,
Yes.
Jordan,
Yes.
Crow,
Yes.
Schott,
Yes.
Roder,
Yes.
11 ayes.
Ordinance is approved. Next item is an ordinance authorizing me to enter into an agreement, into a contract with McClanahan Construction. Steve?
Yes, Mayor, we discussed this at our last meeting. This is the final reading. We are recommending that the council authorize the mayor into a contract for McClanahan Construction Company for improvements to our Southeast wastewater treatment plant for $14,156,988.99. I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions for Steve?
I have a question. On the last page of Section 3D 32, this is just a blank certificate of liability insurance form. Do you get an actual filled out one from their insurance company before the project starts?
Yes. I did not hear the question.
Certificate of liability, Steve. In the packet is an example. Before we start a contract, do we actually get a certificate of liability for their insurance coverage?
Yes, sir.
Are we certificate holders or are we named insured?
We're named as additional insured.
Okay,
Okay, thank you.
thank you. Any other questions for Steve? If not, is there a motion to approve?
Make a motion.
Carolyn has made a motion. Is there a second?
I haven't read it yet.
Oh,
Sorry.
yes. Go ahead.
An ordinance authorizing the mayor, City of Rolla, Missouri to execute on behalf of the City of Rolla, Missouri a certain agreement between the City of Rolla, Missouri and McClanahan Construction Company for improvements to our southeast wastewater treatment plant, Project 473.
Make a motion to approve.
Carolyn made a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Rachel,
Who made this? Oh, Rachel, yes. Roll call vote, please.
Schneider,
Yes.
Roder,
Yes.
Ruder,
Yes.
Bolin,
Yes.
Jordan,
Yes.
Murphy,
Yes.
Schott,
Yes.
Crow,
Yes.
Mush,
Yes.
Allen,
Yes.
Eberly,
Yes.
11 ayes.
Ordinance is approved. The next item is an ordinance authorizing me to enter into a contract with Midstate Pipeline for the Vichy Road project. Steve?
Yes, we are asking for the final reading of an ordinance that would authorize you to enter into the contract with Midstate Pipeline Maintenance LLC for the improvements at our Vichy Road wastewater treatment plant for a total of $6,208,000.
Any questions for Steve? If not, the final reading, please.
An ordinance authorizing the mayor, City of Rolla, Missouri to execute on behalf of the City of Rolla, Missouri a certain agreement between the City of Rolla, Missouri and Midstate Pipeline Maintenance LLC for improvements to our Vichy Road wastewater treatment plant, Project 473.
Is there a motion to approve?
Make a motion.
Second.
Ann,
Ann made a motion. Who's second?
Oh.
Bolin made the motion and
Oh, Carolyn.
seconded.
Okay, thank you. Roll call vote, please.
Schott,
Yes.
Mush,
Yes.
Yes.
Jordan,
Yes.
Bolin,
Yes.
Schneider,
Yes.
Ruder,
Yes.
Allen,
Yes.
Murphy,
Yes.
Crow,
Yes.
Eberly,
Yes.
Roder,
Yes.
11 ayes.
Ordinance is approved. Next item is ordinance authorizing me to enter into an agreement with Donald Magai for the Kings Highway and Route 72 interchange improvements. Steve?
Yes, sir. We talked about this particular item in length at the last meeting. We were able, using a combination of doing some of the work in-house, applying some of the work to an already existing contract we had with another contractor, and tweaking a few of the requirements, we were able to change order quite a bit out of this one. We were asking not only to approve this, but to authorize the first change order. Specifically, the contract with Don Magai would be for $4,685,634.05. We're also asking that we approve the first change order to that contract by deducting $872,679.75 out of the contract, with the additional contract with the contractor and the TDD reimbursing the city for our work. We are estimating this will ultimately save us about $445,000. And we are recommending final reading of the ordinance tonight.
Steve, a lot of this work is being done at night for a premium
Yes.
in order to minimize the impact on the businesses and the citizens. When do you envision start date and when do you envision completion?
I don't really look for a lot of work to get going right away. Right now, all the box culverts for the storm drains are being built. I do anticipate some of the utility work, water line work and stuff will probably start in the next 30 days. Probably not go into high gear until about July or August. And if we get it done by the end of the year, we will be lucky because we had a late winter. It could very well, final completion may be in the spring, but I'm anticipating that would only be the final lift of asphalt and the sod and planting the trees and that sort of thing. I think functionally it'll be open for use by the end of this construction season.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions for Steve? If not, can we have the final reading, please?
An ordinance authorizing the mayor, city of Rolla, Missouri to execute on behalf of the city of Rolla, Missouri, a certain agreement and change order between the city of Rolla, Missouri and Donald Magai, Inc. for Kings Highway improvements and Route 72 and Bishop Intersection Improvements Project 359.
Is there a motion to
Motion to
approve?
approve.
Carolyn has made a motion. Is there a second?
Second. Second.
French. Monty made a second. Roll call vote, please.
Ruder,
Yes.
Murphy,
Yes.
Jordan,
Yes.
Schneider,
Yes.
Allen,
Yes.
Bolin,
Yes.
Crowell,
Yes.
Mush. Mush. Did we lose him?
Yeah, we lost John.
Okay. Roder,
Yes.
Schott,
Yes.
Eberly,
Yes.
10 ayes.
Yeah, I was hoping he would sign back on, but ordinance approved.
Hey, quick thing there. If John got signed out, sometimes Brian needs to let him back in just to make Brian aware, that's all.
Wait, no, Brian can hear us.
Yeah, I'm watching for him. He's not in.
Yeah, it's locked. Now it's open.
Brian, could you text your answer?
Waiting for him.
Okay, he's waiting on John, so we'll move ahead. Next item is an ordinance authorizing me to execute a change order for the project Phase 1 asphalt improvements. Steve?
Yes, sir. This is one of the change orders, or the change order I was talking about with the existing contractor. By using our existing contract, we're able to save about $61,000 on the asphalt paving for this project. So we are requesting the reading of the ordinance that would authorize you to execute change order number 3 for project number 500 FY 2020 Phase 1 asphalt improvements by adding an additional $306,000 to the contract.
Any questions for Steve? If not, can we have the final reading, please?
An ordinance authorizing the mayor of the city of Rolla, Missouri to execute on behalf of the city of Rolla, Missouri, certain change order between the city of Rolla, Missouri and Pierce Asphalt LLC for fiscal year 2020 Phase 1 asphalt improvements, project 500.
Is there a motion to approve?
So moved. Second.
Jody made the motion. Who second?
Ann.
Ann? Roll call vote.
Murphy,
Yes.
Allen,
Yes.
Boland,
Yes.
Schneider, Reuter,
Yes.
Mush,
Yes.
Jordan,
Yes.
Eberly,
Yes.
Roder,
Yes.
Schott,
Yes.
Crow,
Yes.
11 ayes.
Ordinance is approved. Next item, final item under old business, is an ordinance regarding the Series 2020 sewer revenue bonds. John?
Thank you, Mayor. We've been working on this project for a long time, but as we approved tonight, the two contracts basically have about $21 million of construction improvements for sewer treatment plants. This is the financing mechanism that will ultimately pay for those. That was approved by the voters back in November 6, 2018 for a maximum of $27,750,000. At this point, we are ready to finalize these documents and close with the State Department of Natural Resources, who will in essence acquire our bonds, bundle them back, and loan them back to the city under a subsidized or low-interest program. It saves us right at about $5 million on interest cost over the 20-year life of the project. So the document includes a bond ordinance, a purchase agreement, and closing certificates. All told, we will have had $219,000 in closing costs since we initiated this process, and can't think of anything else, so I'd be happy to answer any questions that you have. Is there a question there?
Raise your hand.
Raise your hand if you got a question. Okay, great.
Thank you, John. Final reading, please.
An ordinance authorizing the issuance of not to exceed $27,240,000 principal amount of sewerage system refunding and improvement revenue bonds, State of Missouri Direct Loan Program, Series 2020 of the City of Rolla, Missouri, for the purpose of extending and improving the city's sewerage system, prescribing the form and details of bonds and the agreements made by the city to facilitate and protect their payment, and prescribing other related matters.
Thank you. Is there a motion to approve?
Make a motion to approve.
Carolyn's made a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Maria's second. Roll call vote, please.
Boland,
Yes.
Jordan,
Yes.
Reuter,
Yes.
Schott,
Yes.
Allen,
Yes.
Murphy,
Yes.
Crow,
Yes.
Mush,
Yes.
Roder,
Yes.
Eberly,
Yes.
Schneider,
Yes.
11 ayes.
Ordinance is approved. Thank you. There's no new business. We have no more fiscal or claims scheduled. I guess we spent all our money already. Moving on to mayor or city council comments. There are a couple here on the schedule. One, with your consent, I would like to reappoint Mr. Don Brown to the Planning and Zoning Commission. His term would expire in May of 2024.
So moved.
Second.
John has made the motion. Monty has second. Roll call, please.
Allen,
Yes.
Murphy,
Yes.
Boland,
Yes.
Schneider,
Yes.
Roder,
Yes.
Mush,
Yes.
Jordan,
Yes.
Eberly,
Yes.
Crow,
Yes.
Schott,
Yes.
Reuter,
Yes.
11 ayes.
Thank you for that. The next item is an update on the COVID-19 return to work and reopening. I'd like to do this in two phases. The first will be Chief Smith, who has been visiting on a regular basis a lot of the facilities and businesses around town. The idea is to help and educate and work with the businesses. And he's going to provide an update on how that's going. And then after that, I'm going to come behind him and talk a little bit about the city-owned facilities. Chief?
Good evening, everyone. We've been working for the last 2 weeks to implement the city's ordinance and to also work with the governor's executive order as well. So some of what he had put into place was also a requirement for the city of Rolla, for the employers and for the businesses that wanted to open up. The first week we noticed many of the businesses were working very hard to open, but the public was not quite ready to start moving into the open areas yet. They weren't really very busy in some of the restaurants that we had worked to open, and some of the smaller businesses had opened, but not a lot of people were going out over the weekend. And we've noticed a very big uptick in the number of people who are out and about in this last week. So that excludes the big box stores. So the big box stores for the entire endurance of this crisis have been busy and a maximum. This weekend, Walmart was at 400 plus. Their maximum number is 418. When I went in at 3 o'clock, they were full, and they were getting ready to shut off entry for that point. So Academy Sports also running maximum numbers. So we see the big box stores very, very busy. We have noticed that with the restaurants, they are picking up, and we see a lot of traffic in and out of those. 90% of the people that we go talk to, of the businesses that we're inspecting and trying to help do better and want to do the very best for the city. They want to provide safe places for people to eat and make people feel comfortable to come in. And so we commend them for doing that. And the public wants to feel safe. They want to come out and they want to enjoy that atmosphere, that they can feel safe at a restaurant, or they can feel safe when they buy a piece of merchandise. So 90% of the public is understanding of that and working with us to get there. We have had a few that we've struggled with, but we've overcome some of those issues, and continue to work together to build a relationship and a rapport that the end result is everyone goes home safe, and they feel like they can shop in Rolla safe without exposure. So that's our goal, and we'll continue to monitor. We were monitoring over the weekend. We had an inspector out today, two inspectors out today, that re-inspected all the restaurants on Kings Highway and stores on Kings Highway and 63 that were open. So we've been making those contacts. Any questions?
Jody?
Hey, Chief, how are we doing with the bars in the evenings? Are they able to do the social distancing pretty well?
They are. So we have three that are primarily open at this point. Some of them get very close to their occupancy load, but they've worked with us to relieve some of that pressure. We have worked together with them, and they are doing very well in maintaining that. And we've inspected all three bars Friday night and Saturday night, and our presence has been there.
Matthew?
Chief, I'm just curious. It sounds like everyone, or most of everyone, is doing a good job of trying to work within the rules and do the right thing. Where there are, if there are, any blatant violations, have you given any thought to code enforcement, or has there been any issue with that yet?
We've gotten a lot of good cooperation. There's clearly some businesses that should and could try a little harder. There's probably a few that we may have to come to that fork in the road. So the ordinance that you approved has some provisions in it on what those next steps are. So I'm going to defer to Carolyn to highlight what those are.
Thank you, Mayor. Just to remind everybody, the enforcement provisions of the ordinance is that a violation, as it's stated, of repeated failure to comply with the order can be a misdemeanor crime punishable by fine, imprisonment, or both. That would be prosecuted in the city by the city prosecutor. This enforcement provision also allows, as an additional process to the criminal enforcement, that the city councilor has been delegated the authority to take appropriate actions with respect to any business or person that has failed to comply or attempted to fail to comply with the order, and that includes after notice, offering notice, and an opportunity to be heard, what are reasonable in the circumstances or other actions as the city councilor may deem appropriate to ensure compliance with the order, which could also include addressing noncompliance or to deter noncompliance by others. The city councilor may seek emergency injunctive or civil relief as deemed appropriate. Any action by the city councilor, if taken after consulting with the mayor, would be considered an emergency proceeding that is necessary to protect the public health and safety. So in other words, this additional level of enforcement, I think, goes to really expediting if there's a serious problem that the criminal process can't address quickly. But it has to be looked at, I think, on a case-by-case basis based on the language used here, after notice and an opportunity to be heard is given.
Thank you. So again, I want to go, just emphasize, our intention was not to go around town and hand out tickets. The two gentlemen that are acting on our behalf from the fire department have very good personalities and soft skills, if you will, and we're trying to leverage those very much, and we generally see a good compliance. But as I said, there's always some outliers, and we'll have to deal with the outliers in the coming weeks. Any other questions? Jacob?
How often are we re-inspecting people that we're potentially having problems with?
So if we have a complaint, anytime there's a complaint, we visit them same day, and we also visit them next day. Kind of a, not necessarily a surprise visit, but just to verify, to let them know that we're serious about the conversation. We can have the soft skills, but we also want to be very, let them know that the city of Rolla is serious about the impact of the ordinance, and everyone needs to feel safe when they go into that business. So we always follow up that day and the next day as well, and some of those are being repeated, not singling any of them out. We see all those types of things. And we'll use, for example, we use Walmart for an example. We receive significant number of issues there of people who have ideas or thoughts, and we visit them 2 or 3 times a week. So we're following up with those on a regular basis. And we have 3 inspectors in the field that can follow those up very rapidly.
Carolyn?
This is more towards Carolyn, I believe, but, so what you're saying is if they don't comply as needed, as they've had the warnings and everything, are you talking about they could have their licenses revoked, their business license, or could it go to that extreme?
I would say that that's definitely an administrative process, but there would probably be a great many things considered before. I mean, I think there would have to be some other considerations done. Like I said, you want to have notice, and you're going to have an opportunity to talk to them. And again, a case-by-case, although you want to be consistent, a case-by-case basis is important because every business is different. The factors, the complaint, the details, all of those have to be considered in making that in consultation with the administration and with the mayor, I think.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, if I can switch to the public facilities. And I'm considering that to be City Hall, parks, and the center. You know, our citizens cover a wide range We have very healthy, we have very sick. We have very young, we have very old. We have people that are cautious, we have people that are quite liberal. We have people that are concerned about the virus, and we have people that don't believe it's even out there type of thing. So we're going through the reopening process, if you will, very carefully and methodically. And I truly believe in what I'm about to say is that the city has to lead by example. If we expect the businesses, if we expect the citizens to do a certain thing or act a certain way, it starts with us as civic leaders, and it starts with us with our public facilities. So we really want to be careful with that. So where we are with all three of them, I'm going to tell you the partial reopenings are going to be soon. I want to stop short of giving a specific date for reasons which I'll allude to in a second. For City Hall, we have installed, for those of you that have not been here in a couple of days, all of the points of service counters have some very nice glass barriers which have been installed. In the another high interaction area is with Tom's group in planning and zoning, where contractors and people want to come in, and it's very difficult to have those conversations sometimes just over the phone or just in an email chat because you want to look at diagrams with them and so on and so forth. That current space that Tom uses is rather confined, so those kind of activities, which will be driven by appointment only, will be in a slightly larger conference room, so he can host those face-to-face, if you will, and still maintain social distancing. The third area, which is probably our most challenging area, and that is court. So when court resumes, and I don't know when that is, but I'm going to say it's probably in June, give or take, maybe. Help me out.
That sounds accurate, yes.
Okay, so whenever court resumes, which is held in here, our plan is to pretty much like do what we're doing here today, and then having a limited number of people in, and have the chairs at a specific area. There'll be a bailiff at the door, the entryway into council. So once this area is full, people will have to wait in the lobby. That bailiff will control that physical area as well to maintain that social distancing and the number of people that are allowed in that specific ante-room, if you will. And if that gets filled, then the people are going to have to wait outside. So those are the provisions that we're looking to put in place, at least with respect to City Hall. With respects to parks and the centers, there's a lot of work going on, and again, because of the wide variety of users that I mentioned for those sorts of facilities, staff in both of those areas is looking at best practices. They are speaking regularly with our two advisory boards. They're speaking with industry peers. They're speaking with industry experts. And we're developing for each of those areas what I call the health plan, which is something that's based on best practices that are known and being done out there today. I've asked each of them to also complement that with a management plan. It's nice to have a piece of paper and says this is what you're going to do, but we really want to have a management plan that's going to ensure that our staff will do what we said we're going to do. And in some cases, that's going to require some training, particularly in some of those areas involving the center. Parks will go through phases, just like a lot of these will. Certain activities, such as ball games, are easier to maintain social distancing than some of the other aspects. So we're struggling with the outdoor pool a little bit, making sure we get that right. And the final one is the playground. So all of those in the works, and all of those will be addressed soon. With respect to the center, we're doing the same thing. We have some outside experts that are helping us through developing those plans. We have a draft. It's almost a final. It's not really a draft, but it's very, very well thought out. And when you think about what's happening in the center, where people are using equipment, in some cases in close proximity, and again, a variety of age groups and health considerations, that one's important. The management plan there is important because as we have staff interact with the patrons there, we want to make sure that they're trained. Let's say like it is, going up to a member and saying, hey, Mary, hey, Joe, you're too close. We have to make sure we have those soft skills in place as well so that the patrons are treated properly and with respect, and they're starting that. The third thing with respect to the center is I've also asked the group to develop a business plan, if you will. Just because we can open doesn't mean we should open. Just because we can open all of it doesn't mean we should. So we're going to be bringing back people. We're going to start incurring labor cost, if you will. So what we suspect is that even when we do a partial opening, which will be again phased in as well, we're not going to have 500 or 1,000 members come the next day, so to speak. So the idea is to essentially staff up with the amount of people that are coming back in. I think I could suffice it to say that that's going to be opening soon as well, or at least a partial opening. But we have a few more T's to cross and I's to dot before we release that to the public. But it should be soon. Are there any questions on the city facilities? Jody?
So Mayor, where is the indoor pool and all of the timing going? Would that be an early opening or a later opening, you think?
I think what we're leaning towards now, John, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but a partial opening as well. So what it could entail is it could open the lap lanes. Some of those lap swimmers, they're very passionate. So conceivably, we might have a daily opening, let's say from 6 in the morning till 10 in the afternoon, or 10 in the morning or something like that, and open just that at that particular time. The other one that is probably manageable are going to be the water aerobic classes because they're going to be hands-on with an instructor, and that instructor could manage the situation, manage the social distancing. I don't believe the general swim, if you will, is going to be included in the first round. Don, you want to add anything to that?
May not even be open in the second round.
May not even be open in the second round. Yeah, there's some challenges. Even the best practices that are in the industries. The question is, what happens when people get out of pool and they touch the ladder? What happens when they're blowing their nose and they throw the towel on the deck of the pool? There's a lot more sensitivities than meets the eye when you're talking about the pool. And I believe that the showers and the change rooms will be closed.
Okay.
Yeah, they will be closed as well. So we're looking to get back into business, but again, as I said, in a methodical way. Any other questions? Any other council comments? David?
Yeah, first I just want to say a big thank you to Chief Smith and his staff for all that they've been doing. Obviously, that's an extra workload, and so thank you so much, Chief, for all the extra work and working with the public a lot more than you normally do there. The other question I have is for Steve, and I just want to check, is Steve there, and can you hear me, Steve? Steve, are you there? Steve Hargis.
There he is.
Did he maybe leave already?
No, he's here.
I'm here. Go ahead. I didn't know what Steve you were on.
Okay. Okay, sorry, yeah. Quick question. I know with the stay-at-home and the parks being closed, a lot more people are using the Acorn Trail, which I think is great. The only question I have, I've noticed that the little reflective men in the street that get taken down for winter weren't up, and I was just curious, is that something that is going to be put up for the warm season again?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, yeah.
David, do you have another question? Christine, Christine, was your hand going up? No. Okay, if there's no questions, moving on to open citizen communications. Doesn't look like we have any here. Comments for the good of the order? Christine.
I do want to say something here, thank you.
I just wanted to bring up that this is the last week of the 2019-2020 school year, and I just want to say to the parents of public school students, thank you. As teachers, it's been rough on us, but we know it's been a challenge for you the past 8 weeks, and our administrators have had a lot on their plates too, and I just want to say thank you for everything you've done with our kids and for our community and for your understanding and so on. So, thank you.
Well noted. I'm sure there's a lot of people that can't wait for the schools to open, Christine. There's a lot of mothers.
Yeah, I'm sure there are. There's a lot of teachers who are having a hard time with the school year ending and really no closure for us or our kids. And that's really tough for all of us. And then to start a new school year without really closing out the old one, you know, there's that. So, yeah, hopefully things go in a positive direction so that we can have a regular start to the school year.
Thank you for those words. If there's nothing else, we have one item in closed session dealing with real estate. Is there a motion to go into closed session?
Make a motion.
Carolyn has made a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Ann made a second. Roll call vote.
Mush,
Yes.
Schott,
Yes.
Reuter,
Yes.
Schneider,
Yes.
Allen,
Yes.
Murphy,
Yes.
Crow,
Yes.
Roeder,
Yes.
Jordan,
Yes.
Eberly,
Yes.
Bolin,
Yes.
11 ayes.
Thank you. Let's take a 3-minute pause.